For so many surfers, from those just starting out to even the more seasoned surfers who are just aging with their surfing, we can feel pretty defeated before we've even had the chance to get a wave, or at least fairly early on in our sessions. And this is because of a lot of the inefficiencies that do creep into our surfing that hopefully I wanted to put an end to today. Now, I'd argue that what we're going to cover through today is arguably equally or even more important than a great surf technique video, because so often, either on a bigger challenging day or just even in a session where it's definitely not feeling all that easy and clean out there and there's proper work to be done on the paddle out, we're getting fairly knackered. Whilst this is extremely helpful for people who resonate with this specifically, as a physio, I do feel like there's even some really, really good stuff in here, and I do think it's worth taking a second just to listen to this and implement it, because it is applicable for everyone. Now, I'm gonna try and keep this super short and sweet and effective. And if you are new here, my name is Considine, and I'm a professional longboarder, a surf coach, as well as a physiotherapist. And I spend a fair bit of time one-on-one helping people with their surfing, both from a coaching perspective, but as well as from a strength mobility perspective as well. One of the more popular programs I'm running at the moment is an 8-week program called POP-UP REHAB, where I help people restore and rebuild their function in the pop-up where they might have noticed a bit of a decline there. And so if you did want any help with things one-to-one to improve your surfing from a functional perspective, feel free to get in touch. And if you do find this valuable, or if you find it useful, then please feel free to share it with any friends who might get something out of it. But let's get straight into the edit. The first exercise is what I call the split stance plate press, and we can do this with or without rotation. The split stance plate press targets our core, shoulder stabilizers, and rotational control through the trunk and hips. The reason I've included this exercise is I feel it forces us to stabilize through the trunk and arms beautifully, as we need when we're paddling through waves or duck diving. This is actually one of the most overlooked aspects that I see for paddling and for surf performance in many surfers. That being that the reason that many surfers are getting pretty gassed making their way out the back, and this even extends out to more experienced surfers who are lacking the strength and control, what happens is they can't keep their board in efficient positions. That being, they might push themselves through a wave and their board is always taken back and to the side, meaning after every wave they need to expend so much more energy just getting themselves back on the board if they've fallen off the side, or getting their board positioned to facing out the back again if it's been rotated a bit towards the shore. And this is a great example of how small inefficiencies in our control and strength have an exponential effect on how tired we can become. And if we can simply keep our board controlled and keep our body over our board, the nose pointing out the back, then we're pretty sweet from there on in. To complete this exercise, start in a short split stance. Front foot flat and back foot lifted slightly so we're on the ball of our foot, holding a light plate or a dumbbell of a manageable weight at your chest. Brace through the core, then press the plate forwards. Hold for 3 seconds and then control back in, returning the plate back to the chest. Keep the hips facing mostly forward and repeat this 5 to 10 times before swapping the lead foot. The common mistakes to avoid here are don't let your hips twist excessively or allow your back to arch. This is about keeping stable and controlled on the arms and the core, not throwing the weight forward. Also be sure to keep the ribs down and the abs engaged. To progress this one, begin with the chest rotated 45 degrees to one direction. Press the plate out firmly, ensuring we've braced the core, then slowly rotate the plate around the body with the arms extended and locked out until you're at a 45-degree angle in the other direction. Then bring the plate in and resume the exercise from the side you just finished on. To make it easier, we can remove the weight, use a band, or reduce the range of motion. To make it harder, increase the weight or perform the movement more explosively, pressing forward with intent whilst maintaining control. You can complete anywhere from 5 to 12 reps each side for 2 to 3 sets to begin. The second exercise is going to be a narrow base push-up. Now, this version of the push-up targets the chest, the triceps, the scapular stabilizers, as well as some deep core control. And I think it's crucial for the upper body strength in surfers. The key here is the narrow grip. And much of the time as surfers, we're trying to build our upper body power in the gym or at home with a bench press or a standard push-up, which, don't get me wrong, these movements are absolutely awesome, but they target the chest over the triceps. And given the narrow width of the the board, what we're really gonna need to be targeted more specifically is our triceps in this position to get some great improvements in our endurance, our strength and power, specifically for things like our pop-ups or pushing through and under waves. And this is another key reason we might get fatigued paddling out or during our surfs in general. For this one, we'll start in a push-up position with our hands directly underneath the shoulders or slightly narrower. Keep your body in a straight line from head to heels, keeping the elbows tucked close to your sides, and press up, maintaining a tight core engagement and full body tension. What we want to avoid here is flaring the elbows out or letting the hips sag. This takes tension out of the core and stresses the shoulders unnecessarily. To make this easier, perform on your knees or elevate your hands onto a surface like a bench. We can make this one harder by bringing the hands closer together, slowing down the tempo, or even adding a pause at the bottom of each rep. As a little bonus here, I like to be slow on the way down and fast on the way up to help build some rate of force development or power training into this, which can be important for our pop-up. Aim for 8 to 15 reps, depending on your current strength level, for 3 sets to begin with. Now, our final exercise is going to be our single arm row in 4-point kneel. Now, I've tried to keep these movements as accessible as possible. There's a lot of great machines and cables that will produce some great results with this movement, but here we can target our paddling muscles from anywhere, and really you just need a band. This movement targets the lats or the latissimus dorsi, the scapular stabilizers, the rotator cuff, as well as the deep core. And these are the exact muscles responsible for pulling power, as well as our shoulder stability and general control when we're paddling. Every paddle stroke is essentially a one-arm pulling action, powered by the lats, the shoulders, and the core. And by training this pattern in a 4-point kneeling position, we mirror as much as we can the posture of paddling and reinforcing the stability across the torso, aiming to provide stability throughout this action with the core. I like to think of the body as a system in this way, and if we're weak through the core or showing instability here, we're going to be leaking energy from our intended movement. So instead of the arm producing a force against a stable and steady core, if the core is compensating, then the paddle power will also suffer. For this one, set up on all fours, hands directly underneath the shoulders, knees directly underneath the hips. You'll need a resistance band in line with your moving arm. Engage your core to keep the spine long and neutral, and pull the resistance band using a pronated or palm down grip, keeping the elbow in line with your body until the elbow makes contact with the side of your core. Focus on retracting your shoulder blade as you pull, and to control the way forwards nice and smooth and slow. It's important to think about body position here to keep the hips level and avoid twisting or shifting your weight side to side. You should feel this one in the lats as well as the same side obliques and core. What we want to avoid doing is pulling the weight too quickly or twisting the body. The key is maintaining control and core stability with a steady and slow movement while moving only the shoulder and the arm. To make this one easier, we can use a lighter resistance band or pause on the floor between reps. And to progress this one, we can extend one leg behind you to create a 2-point balance challenge, or slow the pulling phase to increase our time under tension. And we can of course get a heavier resistance band or even use a cable at a gym. Complete 10 to 12 reps per arm for 2 to 3 sets on this one. So I hope you found that really, really helpful and that you're able to implement a bit of what we spoke about today to help your strength and help your surfing. If you had any questions or anything else that you wanted to see on the channel, then please feel free to leave those in the comments below. Love to have a chat and love to get an idea of what you guys are wanting to see more of. And up here on the screen, I'll actually show you a video that I think will be really helpful for building your strength for your pop-up. Feel free to check that out. It should be somewhere on the screen here. Other than that, we'll see you on the next one.